Good afternoon. This is Mike Farley, Poolside Perspective Podcasts, and we're here to talk about more fun with the outdoor environment.
Oh, yeah.
So, this week we got some really cool news about one of our really small projects. So a lot of times people think I only do big, massive things, but the fun to me is the ultimate challenge is a small backyard. So this one was a small backyard. It had a hillside, which even made it more fun. And we did a water wall that cascaded down into a fire feature. So really cool. We found out we're a finalist in the design awards for that
What does
one
that
particular
mean?
feature.
So is that like top 5, top 50?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, we'll find out. I don't know what it means that we're a finalist. They wanted more information, so
Well, we made a cut. That's good.
we made the cut. Yes, that's cool. So this is the time of year we have to do a lot of photography
Oh, yeah.
because earlier in the year it rained so much. We got rained out all the time, so lots of stuff going on this week.
Yeah. I mean, last podcast we did, we ran to a photo shoot quickly, and we're about to shoot another one, which actually, since we're talking about water features, this podcast, it has the sheer rains on it. It's a water wall, and it's pretty much to drown out the noise of the highway. It's really cool design. It's got this huge oak tree that it's designed around. It's going to look really good. I saw it when it was plastered and they filled it up, and they're about to start up the pool. So it's been a couple weeks since then, and the homeowner went to Italy, so we have to wait for him to come back, and then we get the green light to photo shoot hopefully the following week. So I'm excited for that job.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They did several different water feature systems so they could have a certain decibel rating,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can increase the decibel rating, and then they can increase the decibel rating again because of the 3 different systems that are there. So it should be interesting. We'll have to get the decibel rating, the meter out and measure that to see the differences between all 3 of those. So that's a new toy we got to check out the sound of water.
Oh, yeah.
And see how it works. So this is going to be a real cool episode. We're talking all about water features, and we're talking to Great American Waterfalls and Chris, who we saw several months ago when we were at the Coverings show, and he went over some of his product at that point in time. So we thought it'd be great to have him on today and go over some of those features.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay. Well, let's talk to Chris. Chris Walton is affectionately known as the Zero Edge Guy, and he serves as the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Research and Development of Great American. With a passion for processes and a unique talent for water management, Chris has carved a notable career path in the water shape industry. Chris' journey began humbly as a pool pro, laying the foundation of his experience through 4 years of drafting in high school. He honed his skills as an Aqua 100 builder, year-round pools in Hilton Head, South Carolina, during his early 20s before venturing into entrepreneurship. In 2002, he founded his own design company, followed by a design-build firm in 2006. His innovative spirit led him to the creation of the first version of a Lautner Edge in 2008 and later the development of the AZE system, which he successfully brought to fruition through Great American Waterfall Company in 2017. Having joined Great American in 2018 marked a pivotal moment in Chris's career where he continued to push boundaries in R&D and product development. His extensive experience in water shape design and build allowed him to critically assess and redefine ideas and bridge the gap between concept and market-ready products. Beyond his professional achievements, Chris finds fulfillment in competitive gaming, in particular with COD Warzone, which stimulates his problem-solving skills. He also enjoys bass fishing as a means of finding peace and reconnection with nature. Driven by this simple ethos, doing what he does because he finds it inherently fascinating, Chris approaches each challenge with patience and passion, and fearlessness in tackling problems head on, and his commitment to treating others with respect and kindness underscore his success both in and out of the office. Chris's vision of the industry is fueled by its potential for its growth and innovation. He believes in empowering pool pros with the products designed by their peers, ensuring accessibility and user-centric innovation with R&D for everyday operations. And without furthermore celebration, we have Chris with us here today. Awesome.
Thank you, Chat GPT.
Well, thank you for joining us. First off,
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's always an interesting story on how this all starts out. So that's a nice descriptive situation. But so you started in high school drafting, and that led you to the pool business?
Yeah, weird. Strangely enough, I mean, I don't think that one actually led to the other. I think it was an absence of somebody who understood drafting at the pool shop I was at that kind of segued me there. But yeah, I started in high school thinking that I wanted to be a draftsman. My best friend's mother was a draftsperson for these an architect, and so she did tons of design on her straight table at home, and I loved sitting there just watching her for hours with a pencil. And so I just picked it up in high school.
Gotcha. So no computers at that point in time?
Yeah, no. Don't let the chubby cheeks fool you. I'm actually a 75 baby. So, and I grew up in a rural city that would be considered a citrus portion of Florida, Central Florida, called Brooksville. And we didn't have access to high budgets in the education system. So there were no computers in our drafting courses.
Okay. Well, so did you have a computer in yours, Trey?
yeah, we did AutoCAD in ours. We actually didn't learn on paper at first. We went straight to the computer, which is so weird how it's like backwards.
Yeah.
So, and there was, I'm the living proof of, I graduated with a degree in landscape architecture, and my class was the last class that went out without touching a computer. So I am the last of the dinosaurs in that aspect. And I graduated in 85 from college. So anyway.
I love listening to those portions of the podcast with you and Kevin talking about those days and the tools that you had and how you had to bring things to life. But I will make one point. I had a guy tell me, I came in and sat down with a GC who was a GC for a design build company. And he goes, so you don't have like 3D drawings? You don't have like the pool studio stuff like that? I was like, no, sir. He goes, oh, that's interesting. I said, well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, there's a guy named Frank Lloyd Wright who never used a 3D rendering program his entire career, and he did pretty good.
So did it work? Was
Yeah,
he satisfied?
It did. He was satisfied, quite satisfied. So the long and short of it is that the old ways don't necessarily mean that you can't do it. It just takes longer.
Well, today I was sitting at the drafting table working on a design and lots of pencil and eraser and,
onion paper
and, going through the process. So, but then it goes from there to Megan, who puts it in a 3-dimensional model. So
nice.
Anyway, we cover both worlds. So you were in high school, you started drafting, and then you were working at a pool construction place?
Yeah. So my dad worked for a construction mining materials company called Florida Rock Industries back in the day. And so when I graduated from high school, he transferred from Brooksville to their home office city, which was Jacksonville. And that was, I want to say, in 94, 95. And so when I moved there, I knew nothing about anything. And then going out, I met a couple fellas at Jack's Beach who said they were building pools during the day. And I was like, construction? Well, I'll go try out. So I go and sit with the guy, old Terry. He is still to this day bumping around the pool industry. I come in and sit in Terry's office, construction manager, and he goes, so do you know how to build anything? I say, well, I used to put irrigation systems together. I built doghouse carpentry. He goes, you know how to glue PVC plumbing together? I was like, yes, sir. He goes, all right, you're on the plumbing crew. So I got my first job in the pool industry at age 19.
Gotcha. So how long did you stay there?
I was there for about 2 summers worth before I realized that a sandy ditch in the middle of July and August was not really where my future. I mean, a lot of people think the beach is a great thing, but when you're building down in a hole on the beach with no wind and that sun, Lord have mercy. So that I decided to go back and finish my degree, and in doing so, I gave them my notice. And so John Scott Jr., Scotty as he's known, said, "Hey, Chris, do you know anything about designing on computers at all?" I said, "No, actually I don't. Never done it before. But I'd love to try it." So he handed me this software program called PoolDraw. Are you familiar?
I remember it. Yes.
Yeah. So I started using PoolDraw in 1996, 96, 97. I can't remember 100%. I think it was 96. And I never looked back. I stopped using PoolDraw, I want to say 2 years after that, when I moved to Hilton Head and started working at Year-Round Pool Company. But that was, I think, mainly because we had gone beyond what PoolDraw added to Visio, the base program. So we started using Visio like a full-on AutoCAD scenario, layers, multiple tabs and pages, custom properties to things like 90s, 2-inch 90s, 2-inch, inch by inch and a half reducer bushings. You know, it was great. We had those were probably some of the coolest years of my life, between Year-Round and when I came back to Jacksonville in my early 20s, just exploring the pool industry and the new technologies that were coming out with computers and the software that was at our fingertips, you know?
Yeah. So then you went on to start your own company.
Yeah. So when I came back, I went to Hilton Head for 2 years, which was great, but it was a vacation town, right? So there was nobody my age at age 21 and 22 that was going to hang around for a while. So it was tough to make friends. So I came back to Jacksonville, decided to finish my degree. I went to work for a company called Florida Bonded Pools. I know it sounds kind of like a little bit cocky, but when I came back, the education I had gotten in Hilton Head for the 2 years prior was like incredibly valuable. Like, they were building pools beyond anything I ever saw on the swimming pool market in the state of Florida. And it was on the regular. That's what they built every time. And so I wasn't just doing conceptual design. I was doing conceptual design and having to take it to a construction document that was almost like what was being produced by an engineer's office. And that was what was demanded of me by management at that pool company to learn to become a craftsman at. So when I brought that information back down to Jacksonville, I've met with about 8 to 9 different pool contractors. I mean, everybody in the market, and kind of picked and choose who I wanted to come back to work for while I finished my degree. And I chose Jeff Clarkson, Florida Bonded Pools, because he was just such a pure of heart and sweet and kind man. And lo and behold, the year before I got there, I think they did 67, 68 pools with 5 salesmen. The year after, we finished with 3 salespeople, and we did 215 pools.
Wow.
No, 115 pools. My bad. So, what I found out in those early years was that interjecting a design office between sales and construction eliminated the fights that always happened between sales and construction. And that design office now becomes the quality assurance department. They ensure that the salespeople are selling the same features the same way every time, because construction doesn't want to build it 12 different ways. And then they would put it all on paper so that when construction went out to build it, they were building the same features the same way every time. So
makes life a little bit easier.
Yes, sir.
So water features.
Yes, sir.
So that is something that homeowners love to have in their backyard. So one of the things when I'm talking to a client about a water feature, I always ask them, are you looking for sound or are you looking for a visual effect? Because those are 2 different things. So
completely great question.
So what's your favorite thing about a water feature?
I love that they're so dynamic. They can do just what you just said. They can be noisy, or they can be visually, a visual acumen that just stuns you. You know, the dynamic nature of a water feature is kind of water in transit, water in motion, to me, is kind of the allure.
So it satisfies almost every client that I wants either the sound or the visual effect.
Right.
And so what I explained to them is a lot of them don't do both. You know, a lot of times you have to understand what you want so you can get what you and then sometimes they're like, but I want both. So sometimes it's like, well, then you need two different things. So, but anyway, your company makes lots of different features.
Yes, sir. We have a ton of different options. Yes, sir. Do you want me to talk about a few of those options or a few of those different water features that we run into?
Yeah, if you want to dive into, maybe we'll start with, we can like categorize them in the aesthetic and then also the sound. Maybe we start with aesthetics. That's a little easier to comprehend. So, aesthetic wise, what do you think? Yeah, just start with any of your features that y'all have. Maybe let's talk about the zero edge. That's a very big aesthetic feature that I like.
Yeah. With any type of water feature, when we're shaping water, it's always good to start with a really, really small, like earth science course, which is simply that turbulent flow means that there's turbulence within the water as it's flowing, which is going to create more sound. It creates more sound because there's more surface area when it hits the surface of the water it's landing in. And it creates more sound because of the displacement of that larger surface area or multiple surface area as it displaces water outside of that. So it creates greater splash as well.
Okay.
So just from that point, you can look at things like you have a rain feature, which could be like spraying water down, creating rain. That's going to have a lot more noise to it. Where we have other structured water features, like, I don't know if you've seen we have a Spout Pro. The Spout Pro to me is something where you can create like an inch to inch and a half pour out of the nozzle of a spout, which is a lot more of a structured or modern contemporary ribbon from the nozzle. And that structured flow is only able to be created because you're close to laminar flow. More turbulent flow, less ability you have to have such a structured ribbon. Make sense?
So the smoother the water is as it leaves the vessel, that's what you refer to laminar flow? Would that
Yes,
be
sir.
So the more
Yes,
it's broken up is the more
Cannon jet.
turbulence that you would have,
Yeah,
right?
a laminar and a cannon jet are pretty easy to compare because their concept is the same. The laminar is a lot smoother, and you don't get really a big splash zone with that. But with the cannon jet, on the other hand, you do get that splash zone. So that's more louder, and the laminar is a lot quieter.
That is a great analogy, absolutely, and that's actually why I created the Spout Pro. I guess you would probably connect it with the Canon spouts that are available in the market today. The difference is that we have a diffuser with inside of it, like a baffle, that slows the water down enough so that you can pour the close to laminar ribbon out of the nozzle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Pro, the other thing is you connect spouts together in like a manifold. So you don't have to have a valve for each one of the spouts. Is that a correct statement?
Well, that's kind of a yes, in a way, yes. So the technology that we developed, I mean, it's not really technology. It's kind of silly, but it's two old technologies that come into one that slow the discharge side of the pump down at the actual fixture so that you can pour to a close to laminar ribbon. The larger the gallons per minute, the actual thicker the ribbon becomes.
Okay.
So with that, I realized that you had people that were going to want individual cannon spouts. And then in addition to it, you have those modern contemporary designers who will create a really nice feature wall across the entire backside of the pool. And in that, they'll create counterbalance by having, say, 6 of those cannon spouts all together on one end of that wall, right? So I realized that those builders or installers who were going to try to put 6 of those cannon jets together, I was like, crap, we need to go ahead and try to build these all in one manifold. We threw it together at the request of, I think it was Eric over at Ike's Carter's. And we threw it together inside of 24, 48 hours. We had it running, had a video over to him. And he was like, wow, well, that would have been a lot easier. So phone call away, baby.
I think that's a huge thing that we should touch on. So your product is very customizable, it sounds like.
Yes.
So it's not like you have one manifold and it has the basic bells and whistles. It's like to the design, you can create that manifold to have it like the pro feature. What was it called again? Oh, sorry, I forgot what the name was. But pretty much where it doesn't have to have all the valves.
Yeah, the pro spout.
Yeah, the pro
Yeah,
spout. Okay.
So we have the pro spout, which has that baffle box on it, and that's what actually diffuses or eliminates the exit loss from the discharge side of the pump, pressure side, right? And once it diffuses that, it allows each one of them that are in a row on a balance line, no loop, just a balance line. So 3-inch home run, a 3-inch balance line, and then you can have 3 on one side, 2 on the other, 4 on one side, 3 on the other, cap off that 3-inch line. And you just charge that 3-inch line and they will baffle themselves so that they are all flowing at the same rate. And in addition to that, they'll actually be turbulent free because they're diffusing the air that's being exhausted at the discharge point as well through the, almost like a Studer vent at the top of the vent, at the top of the nozzle.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I just got so nerdy in that.
No,
I
good.
totally probably lost half the people who were trying to listen to me on that.
So we had a question that came in, and we request questions, and I'd saved this one because I thought it would be appropriate for, talking about water features in an episode. And one of the things that they asked was, do we really need to put our water feature on a separate pump and filter for our pool? And so this was a person that had a pool and spa combination. So, I'd love to hear your answer for that and how it would apply to different of your products as well.
Wow, I think I heard that question asked, and I heard that discussion that happened thereafter. Do you do filters or no filters on features, water feature pumps or water feature on a pool? Well, first thing is, I guess let's address whether or not you should use a pump. Yes, you should always use an individual pump because it is an individual system. If you're going to try to do one pump to manage a multitude of things, one thing is going to be off while another thing is running, and you're going to need it.
Right. So you either have a spa or a water feature. You wouldn't have both. So by doing a separate pump, you could have both at the same time.
Right. And in addition to that, think about the kilowatt per hour strain on the motor. That is not now on that motor. Now it's on an more efficient motor that's actually displacing the total kilowatt per hour of the entire system to a much less kilowatt per hour usage. So you're actually, over the life of the project, you're paying for that second, third, and fourth pump, like it was yours in the beginning.
Yeah.
Make sense?
100%. So pumps a yes. So the next question is the
filters.
filter.
Yeah. So I saw a really good question on Facebook, and it was kind of like you always put a filter on them because otherwise they're always going to fail. A blade of grass could make a water feature fail. Now let's be specific, okay? What we're talking about is shear technology. It's shear technology from shear rains or shear waterfalls where the water's coming out the nozzle. What you're doing in those shear products is you're taking from a 2-inch line and you're charging a linear fixture and then pouring from that same linear fixture through multiple chambers over a full length. So let's say you got 8 feet of fixture and you're feeding it in the very middle. You're charging that with one 2-inch line. So the baffling system that's in linear fixture has to be fairly micro-sized in order to actually get the correct or efficient displacement of the water through the entire length of the fixture body, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in doing so, think about the number of components that are in that baffle and how small those components are if they're trying to spread 2 inches of water over 8 feet. So yes, a blade of grass is going to make those fail. Now, the downside to that is that all it takes with a shear technology fixture on a system is one pool cleaning to go awry. You take the cartridge out of the filter and a blade of grass falls in. You put the cartridge filter back in. Now it's on the discharge side of the pump, going out to the fixture, right? So there is no 100% foolproof way to say you have to or you don't have to have a filter on those features, as much as you need to take into account the fixture itself, right? For example, if it's an eighth, like those little sheer waterfalls, if it's an 1/8 inch nozzle opening, you know that anything smaller than 1/8 of an inch is going to block that nozzle, regardless of the baffle that's inside of it. So even a plaster pebble is going to block that nozzle. You need to learn, as designers, installers, and consumers, we need to learn that all of us getting together and having a conversation about what the pros and cons are, so that we're making enlightened decisions when we build and pay for these systems. That's the best advice I can give anyone. You have to know what your liability is. Like, for example, let me rewind real quick on that one, Mike, because it's kind of one of those questions that I'm on the fence about, because there's so many things involved in our business that have to do with fixtures that are potentially blockable by debris.
But all of your fixtures are probably not.
Yeah, you have the bigger fixtures like
Your spout?
your spouts. Yeah.
Does that get blocked by debris?
Well, no, the spout pros can't. I mean, if it's going through the pipe, it's going to come out the nozzles. Yeah.
Okay. So, but like you said, it's the sheer ones, the sheer rains, the sheer arc.
Yeah, that technology.
The sheer,
Yes, sir.
Those will be the ones that could be blocked. So, so the question is, do you put a filter on them or do you not? So, yeah.
Smaller the nozzle. Oh, sorry. But the smaller the nozzle, probably the more likelihood you could have debris blocking it. The bigger, the less likelihood. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's, put it this way. If you put the filter on it, it's kind of, it's a safeguard for sure.
Yeah.
But bad filter cleaning maintenance practices are going to make it just as susceptible to debris infiltration.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's a fair answer.
Yeah.
So it would be
Sorry,
recommended to put it on,
it's a
but
law.
you still could have a challenge with it if, whoever's maintaining the filter doesn't do a good job. So,
yeah. I mean, and here's the other thing is, like, I hear all the time on Facebook and my neighbors here in my subdivision, they'll ask me, well, should I put a rock trap on it? Well, a rock trap is great, except for the fact that it depends on how fast that water's moving in that pipe. Because if that water's moving fast enough and that debris is not heavy enough, it's not going to fall down in that rock trap.
correct. Going back to, we were talking about different features. We talked about spouts. Now, are all of your spouts plastic?
Yes, everything we manufacture from a derivative of ABS from our shear products. Our spouts are going to be ABS as well.
Okay.
Where our zero edge is actually manufactured from a expanded foam plastic.
Okay. So going back, do you have like just two colors? Are they like white and black and gray? Or, I mean, how many colors do you have of the product?
Well, as far as colors, you're trying to bring the lowest price you can to the marketplace. So when it comes to plastics, we can't just manufacture in multiple colors of plastic, because the ability to get that sheet plastic is almost double or triple what one sheet of white plastic is, right? As far as being able to manufacture in colored plastics, we manufacture everything by hand, dimensionally, almost like you would cabinetry.
Okay.
So we're not injection molded, shipped in from China. We actually have extruded 4-foot by 8-foot sheets of plastic that we buy here locally in the U.S. They're manufactured here locally in the U.S. and we cut it and dimensionally cut it and fabricate it into every fixture that we manufacture.
So what you're saying is those are generally white?
Yes,
That's
sir.
the most cost effective.
Yeah, it's the most cost effective. Yes, sir.
And then the nozzle that it comes out of, is that colored or are they all white?
They are all white, but what we do is we paint them, and we do a really extensive process of denatured alcohol, sandpaper, and then we use actually plastic adhering paint. And then after 3 coats, we do a clear coat on top of it, oil-based clear coat, so that it is protected as it can be from any chemical impact.
Awesome. And so
Yes, sir.
is there like, can I go to Kelly Moore and say, I want this shade of blue, or do you have like 6 or 8 colors that you paint it? So what
Okay, so
flexibility?
off the record, as a builder, before I came to work for Great American Waterfall, I would personally go pick whatever color I wanted to in the plastics that would, the paints that would adhere to plastics. I would prep my own nozzles and I would color them whatever I wanted them colored. So that gives you a window. So we only offer certain colors, but the opportunity is definitely out there.
Okay.
It's because it's ABS plastic. PVC wouldn't work the same.
Understood. So I could send Trey to the paint store and make him paint all of them different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here for a second and get into outdoor living. So with outdoor living, we like to go to barbecue bits here. We're going to share some information of everything that you may want to consider in your outdoor living space as far as features, especially for the kitchen. Hope you enjoy this. Oh, it's Mike Farley. We're in University Park tonight. We're talking design details. This is an awesome counter. This is what's called Dekton. Dekton is a synthetic product that replicates a natural product. The advantage of it is it doesn't get damaged and cold. It doesn't get dinged up by coming out here and getting stains all over it and spilling your red wine. It doesn't get messed up if you use, the knife on it and you're chopping wood. Not chopping wood, that'd be your barbecue meat. But some people's barbecue meat tastes like wood, but that was mine when I first started. I'm sure yours is great. Anyway, Dekton's a fabulous counter alternative. Some people like it because it's a little more clean looking than the granites. And so that's what a lot of people consider is those two things. One thing to know about it, it's really, really hard. You can't cut this with a typical granite saw. You're going to have a real problem with your fabricator. So make sure they know how to deal with Dekton. So this is Mike Farley. We're in DFW. Hopefully that's helpful. If it is, pass it on to your friends. Give us a thumbs up, and we'll check y'all out later. So I hope you enjoyed the barbecue bits that we just featured today, and we'll have more coming up next week. If there's something in particular that you're interested for, let us know, and we'll get back into the episode now.
So one of y'all's features, the rain. I love the look with an arbor that has like an Aqua rain is what y'all have. Can you tell me a little bit about that product and maybe what makes it a little different than maybe the competitors on the market? Because I love that look where you have a nice outdoor kitchen area that's blocked with the shade, and then you have a little waterfall coming off the front of it. It's just something therapeutic in my mind. You have the bar right there too, so someone can have a drink at the bar stool and have the water right behind them. I think it's really cool.
I think you just came back from Cabo.
Yeah.
You're inspired by hanging out at the bar there.
Yeah, I miss it a lot.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, Trey. Nothing wrong with it. The rain is a great feature. What it does is it allows us to kind of be able to take water as designers and builders and put it vertical and create a little bit of a tropical feel within spaces. And the interesting part about it is that's where it started out. And now we're seeing it in modern contemporary designs and such to truly develop almost like delineation between travel space and congregation space. It almost can also act as a volume barrier or a sound barrier within those spaces as well. But to get back to your question, when it comes to the rain itself, since I came on board with Great American, it's kind of become the bane of my existence. And it's the bane of my existence because designers and builders don't really understand how to implement the product into their structure. Okay. It's either they always wait until the last minute at the end of the pool's already shot or the structure's already there that those questions start happening. Where in the very beginning of the project, whether it's a cementitious or it's going to be hung in some sort of structure, whether it be steel or wood, those details matter to us because we have the custom shop to be able to take a basic rain fixture and put a hanging mechanism on it. That includes hanging in your forms. That includes hanging in your structure, however you intend to hang it. But I can't help you develop what hanging structure to put onto the fixture without understanding from you, the designer, what the section looks like of that structure and how you intend that rain to come out of that structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So once I get that defined, we can come in and design an entire fixture and a hanging structure or a mounting tab and brackets or gussets to support that to go right into your structure.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I was not aware that you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your basic stuff. Like if you just want to order like a rain off the shelf, that doesn't come with like a mounting plate and gussets. So that would go into like a cementitious scenario, right?
Right.
Where you could go in and form out a beam that's going to go between two columns, and you tie wire it in and pour your beam on whatever your building practices are, but it goes into a cementitious set where when you're going to go into a structure like a metal or wood structure, man, that was a great question, Trey. I love that one. Thank you so much. I needed to swing at that pitch all night. It's been it's troublesome for me. I mean, I don't know how to stand up and really communicate openly to the industry, but the difference between our product and other people's product is simply that we're the last remaining users of shear technology that doesn't use the X baffle. Our baffle is 10 to 20% less blockable than theirs because theirs is so micro-sized. It's micro-sized. It's put together with injection molded components that snap in here and there. So it really minimizes the amount of true flow that you get, but it maximizes the GPMs that are coming out of a 2-inch or 1.5 inch pipe, which is what they want to do as a commoditized manufacturer. Now us, on the other hand, we're a small mom and pop manufacturer who wants to build incredibly cool stuff along with our standard stuff. So we have the T-baffle, which is literally the most unblockable thing. It comes right into the back, and then you've got 3/8 archways at the very bottom that allow all the water to flow to the next frame. And then it's 3/8 holes at the top that spread it even further. It's a beautiful baffle that really slows down a lot of the differences between us and our competitors. That's really and truly the biggest difference.
So I'm curious real quick on that situation, because it does slow it down a little bit better. With freeze damage, theoretically, because when water's moving quicker, I would imagine it's harder to have damage. And I know if you have your pump running, you shouldn't have any damage at all. But when we had the great freeze, I know some of like the ozone units and where your pipe gets a little smaller. I'm just thinking theoretical right now. Is that more susceptible to freeze damage just because it's moving slower, or no, because the flow is good?
I would say that when it comes to freeze protection, I like the question. I like where your head's at.
Yeah,
I just think that we need to be a little bit more intentful when we think about freeze protection and how we go about it. Like, because you've got the rains that kind of come over a beam like this, and then you've got the ones where it just goes straight down, right?
Yeah.
Well, if it's just going straight down, what's the problem when you turn it off? All the water comes out of the fixture, and goes right out of it. So there's nothing to freeze.
Yeah.
But if there's an orientation of the baffle such that the body of the fixture retains water when the system is turned off, we can absolutely work with you to port it so that you've got a plug so that it can be winterized. But that's not a standard option that we can offer in standard product that goes out and tries to compete with every other person who's trying to sell shears,
Yeah. So just having it being customizable with y'all's company, that's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, that's kind of what we're trying to do is we're a water feature manufacturer that's owned and operated by pool builders. Yeah. We drive pool builder product. That's what we want to do.
Oh yeah, and custom design, that's beneficial to have a custom product.
So with that feature, since we're talking about that one, is there a certain length that can be manufactured to, or where you then, I'm going to put two together right next to each other because, anyway, is there a certain length that you would recommend in a structure?
No, I love that about you, Farah. I mean, you just, whatever the boundaries are, you want to find out what they are and see if we can push them. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. So when I was, I want to say 34, I did a 22-foot shear on a convex, and it was custom built to the template that I sent Great American Waterfall. We put it in, it was in a 2-piece. We glued it together. I still have photos of it. It was beautiful. It works. It's wonderful. I did not realize then until I came to work at Great American, there is pretty much no length that you can give us that we cannot build a shear, a rain, a storm, any of our shear products too. It's just the issue is developing the baffle, which I can help you with as a builder or designer in order to supply that fixture.
Okay. Well, good to know. since we're talking about this, this is my pet peeve. So when you have the cool structure and you have the rain up in it,
Mhm.
I see countless builders that put sheer descents
Oh my goodness.
in instead of a rain. Now,
Oh yeah.
me and Kevin were talking about this, and he's not here to defend himself, so I'm taking advantage of it. And his comment was, "Well, in Arizona, Mike, we don't have much wind, and so there's not as big of an issue there because the wind doesn't blow like here in Texas. The wind blows like crazy, so you can't do it here, but in other parts of the country, you could probably do it." And I'm like, "But I think you get wind just about everywhere at some point in time." But the other thing me and Trey have talked about is if you have a sheer descent above a certain height, it falls apart.
Yeah, it tapers completely.
Well, and then there's tapering too, which is another issue. But anyway,
Mhm.
so is your recommendation ever to put a descent in a structure?
Never.
Okay.
Anything. So sheer descent is not intended for any fall greater than 32 to 34 inches.
Okay, so he's even more conservative than me because I say 48.
Yeah.
So, but 32, and you would probably know much better than me. But basically, if you get much over 3 feet tall, then it's going to start, fragmenting.
Now,
Yeah, I mean it's actually a common conundrum that people come to me with all the time. They want to know why you can't pour a shear straight down and what it takes in order to pour a sheet straight down, free flow sheet straight down. I said the continuity of water is just it's relative to velocity, right? And along with the friction loss that it creates as it's falling against the air. So at some point, however thin that, let's not forget, right? However thin that water is falling, right? It's creating friction against the air that it's falling. So it's going to eventually break up the ribbon. The only way to combat that is to make your ribbon that's falling thicker.
Yeah.
Which adds structure to the ribbon, which adds the ability for the water ribbon to maintain its shape against the friction loss of the wind or of the air. Make sense?
Right.
that actually reminds me of your product, the what was it, the Aqua Wave? Is that kind of just a similar concept? It's a thicker shear almost, but pointed up.
Well, it's actually a deflected shear, which is really cool, right?
Okay.
If you'll notice, anytime you see it used, most often you're going to see it used in close proximity to water level because you get such a good arc that comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
So that you're able to maintain the continuity of the ribbon when it comes back and hits the water.
So one of the things that we're going to need to do is in this episode and on the website is put pictures of all these different products, also link to your website so people can see all these different things. But
Cool.
or for those that are just listening to audio right now, a wave is actually put on I've seen them most of the time on coping that's not raised, and then it arcs up into the air and falls back into the pool. Okay.
Kind of like a roller coaster hump.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I've seen them put on raised walls as well, but typically it's on a level deck situation is where I've seen it most commonly. But
yes, sir.
For those that are listening and they don't have pictures, that's what we're talking about here. So anyway.
And apologies from Chris and Trey for using hand signals and gestures to each other that entire segment.
I'm the one that goes back and listens to this sometime and is like, wow, they don't have a clue what we're talking about because we were referring to different things anyway. So
my fault. Sorry.
And sometimes we regress into that pool builder shorthand too,
Okay. Your company has an extreme history and story behind the shear technology. Do you mind explaining some of that and where it came from and all that type of situation? We jumped into your story, which is a cool story on how you got here, but it's also a very interesting story on how Great American Waterfalls got to where they're at. So do you mind sharing some of that?
Would you clarify for me the word extreme in that context?
Extreme. Wow. Okay. Extreme may not be the right word. I'll let you use the right word. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, and again, I try to act like I'm old, but I really wasn't there. In the beginning of sheer waterfalls, as I recall, there was the the three guys that started what was called Florida Falls back in the day. And Florida Falls ended up taking off and getting really big for its britches. So they ended up selling to Polaris. After Polaris, contracts were up or whatnot. Okay, now I see what you're talking about, extreme. I get it now. So it's not extreme. There was a small tumultuous period there. I get it now. All right, so the old three crew from Florida Falls days left Polaris and decided that they wanted to start up their another waterfall company again because they were good at it and they wanted to tinker and play and have fun and do custom stuff. Well, unbeknownst to two of them, a third of them had signed a non-compete with Polaris and didn't say anything to anyone. So they started the business, and then the business got hit with a cease and desist. Then the business got hit with a lawsuit, and then yada, yada, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, it really handcuffed and hamstrung the company and its ability to grow. But if I have one thing to say about that legacy, that as a man in today's world, I look at Ben Dixon and the amount of effort and heart that he threw into the business, into creating the product, meeting the builders, and keeping that business of Great American Waterfall, that dream that was created in 2003, alive, such that at some point I was able to get involved and try to carry that legacy forward. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So basically, they're the ones that helped start this technology and continue
Yes,
to create unique situations today. So anyway.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a cool story anyway.
Oh yeah. That's
For-
awesome.
Thank you.
For someone that was around back when, wow, this is cool. Look what we can do now.
I had no idea that was as much of a thing when it was a thing. I think, but when Florida Falls kind of came onto the scene with that sheer waterfall, it did kind of it was like Beatlemania in the swimming pool industry. It was almost on every single pool, and you couldn't figure out why. It was just, it happened everywhere.
One thing that, do you incorporate lights with any of your features?
Yeah. So, as of right now, we are producing for the state of Florida and some certain builders across the U.S. that we have very good relationships and communication with. We are not a light manufacturer, but we have created lighted water features that are isolated but carry light fixtures. Now, our issue is that there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions about who their lighting preference is. And so I try to stay out of that dialogue, if that makes any sense. But right now, what we do is we provide a POW light fixture with our lighted fixtures so that, when you operate our water features, the POW light is inserted into the fixture and it goes back to the POW driver. And then it can operate with your automation system to change colors and turn on and off. Now, I'm pretty sure that I have some of that media if you guys wanted to share that or put that on the video or stills or whatnot. But I would say that it's still kind of a little bit in the R&D side, beta version. I would say beta. It works. It's proven technology for us at this point. The issue we're having is that we need to make sure that it gets out there and we put enough out there that we get feedback from builders so that the product is 100% when we go nationwide. That's what we're working on right now.
That's exciting.
Oh, so this is the question that I was going to ask later, is the new things you're developing. So this is in the development stage, but you've got product out there that you're testing is what you're kind of saying at this point in time, and you'll be comfortable with stuff soon to come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it comes in the custom stuff right now. So
okay,
hit us up for something custom.
100%. So, okay. So we've talked about spouts. We talked about the sheer rain,
The Aqua rain. Yeah.
the aqua rain, and the
We going to talk about the storm?
Yeah. Let's talk about the storm. That's the one for the water walls, right?
Yes. I will say this, that it's interesting when you look at the eclectic division of the product line and the names of the product line. It's how the water is formed, meaning the ribbon of water, how the ribbon of water escapes the fixture. That's how we define what our fixtures are. So when you're looking at a storm, basically the water is trudging out to the end of the fixture and then it just storms straight down, right? So that's where the name comes from. Now, the wet wall side of that is we could take the storm water that comes straight down and now deflect it, which I realize that you can't see because this is a podcast and you may be listening and not visually seeing it. So if you can envision what a sheer waterfall looks like, what we do is in the shop is we take and we block up the end of that sheer waterfall, and then we create a 1/8-inch slot at the bottom of that so that the water then pours directly straight down at the end of that fixture into the pool. So it's kind of like trudging out to the end of the nozzle, then dropping straight down. Now in a wet wall capacity, we'll actually chemically weld another deflector at an angle at the below that where the water exits. Now, if the water exits down, it gets kicked back onto the wall or the feature wall where your feature is located. Does that make sense?
So it's like a guide to help it go more towards the wall and hit the wall. That deflector?
Exactly that.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly it.
And that seems to be a request that I'm having from more and more clients is they want the water wall.
The wet walls.
The water wall is something that, because there is the aspect of, you can light it very well.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can get really nice decibel ratings off of it. So it sounds really nice. And
yes, sir.
It can be a visual feature as well. The other thing that I've had a lot of people ask for is they want it to help create privacy.
Yeah.
And so having something that's 6 foot tall, and, coming down, and also it seems to be I'm doing one in the entry of a home right now.
Right.
So, they want to come in and hear that sound of water as they're walking up to the front door. So that's becoming at least for me and what I'm doing, it's becoming a more and more high. The one I worked on today, there was a, 35 foot long, 5 foot tall water wall on it. So anyway,
it's a great backdrop. And would you rather have a big wall for privacy or one with water? I'd pick the one with water.
Oh, well, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, what is the most popular feature that you create?
One of the things that I think that defines the wet wall product for me is that it's truly more of an architectural water feature, right?
Yeah.
It's not really meant to or truly intended to be a form or function involved in an outdoor space like we would think a normal water shape would be, right? It's more of a design aesthetic that's created from a structure. So I enjoy watching people play and have fun with wet walls, but the questions that really drive me crazy is when they call up and they ask, well, how much 3-dimensional tile, if I put this much 3-dimensional tile or this much variation in the 3-dimensional tile, how much noise is that going to create? We shape water and we have no concept of sound engineering for outdoors at wherever you live in that part of the country or what have you. We don't know the road noise, the wind noise. We have none of that, no clue. So it's very fine tuned to see these new ideas and these new feature walls coming out. But I would like to see a lot more guys incorporate hydraulic systems, better hydraulic systems into these projects as well. There's a little tough tidbit too. Hydraulically, there's tons of designers that don't understand the TDH side of a wet wall. For example, if you run out 60 feet out to the feature, don't forget to add directly to the discharge side TDH calculations, whatever elevation you're coming out of that ditch. So if you're going up 12 feet, you need to add 12 feet to your TDH calculations. Because that column of water is not just having friction against the pipe, it's having friction against gravity as well, right?
Gravity does its job. Yes, it does.
Yes, sir.
Every time.
Makes it harder on us every chance it can get, right?
Well,
yeah. One of the features I briefly mentioned in the beginning, the zero edge and the turf edge, I think that's one of the most iconic things because I mean, I didn't know about it until a couple of years ago, I think. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is different. That process, because I believe you brought that product to Great American Waterfalls or no? I can't remember exactly.
Look at his logo. It says the Zero Edge Guy.
Yeah,
He's
so
the
dumb.
guy.
I'm so dumb. Yep. So can you tell us about that process a little bit? Because I've heard about it briefly, but that is an interesting story. I know you covered it in your bio as well.
Well, you want the story about how Zero Edge came to fruition, I guess?
Oh,
the quick one?
100%.
Yes.
I'm building me and my partner Anthony up on Amelia Island. I don't know, 10 years. My head's down, not paying attention to anything. I didn't participate in Facebook, didn't participate in any of those things. I'm just building with my head down. And every single project to me was pushing for the next big detail to do. So I see the Lautner Edge detail and I'm like, I'm doing that. So I design it 06, building it 08 or so. It's hard. It is super hard to build a Lautner Edge and it's time consuming. And if you don't have a ton of money to waste in your budgets, then you're going to lose your butt. So I called up the old father and I said, how am I supposed to carry this point load without using stainless steel? Because I do not want to put stainless steel as a point load component oceanfront on Amelia Island. Just no way I want to do that. It's stainless, not stain proof.
Yeah.
And, the grumbling I got, well, Chris, that's the only material you could use. I've tried everything else. It's impossible. You've always been my enigma. I don't know why you ask me these questions. Jesus. Then I got cussed out and then he hung up on me. And so after getting hung up on, I just kind of said, okay, challenge accepted. Right. So I decided to build it on my own and I built it completely cementitiously. And it's kind of it's a long and arduous tale to explain how I did it. And I know you don't really care that much about it, but I did it 3 or 4 times on 3 or 4 projects in a row. And I started to kind of use it as a sales tool that got me in the door on some really, really big projects. And lo and behold, it did. I got more successful. And then I realized I didn't want to do this the rest of my life. I had no desire to continue to design for Karen and Chad, be their educator on swimming pools. And at the time, I think I was just burnt out. I was beating myself to death for 10 years, building the business and building the reputation. And I got pushed out on an island by myself to just do everything. And I just had enough. So I poked my head up, started looking around to see what everybody else was doing. And I saw that nobody else was really building Lautner Edges. And so I had an idea of how to create a system so that you could install a Lautner Edge detail on a pool and it was controllable costs, meaning you could hand the system to one guy who's your tile guy, and your tile guy is always the best club in your bag, plumb, level, straight, always. You hand it to him and you can walk away from the job and everything's golden. We've never had that for a Lautner Edge in the swimming pool industry. And so I called all the major manufacturers. I called 2 small manufacturers, one of those being Great American Waterfall. And it was only Great American Waterfall would allow me to be involved in the R&D process, which I thought was ridiculous by everyone else, but whatever. So let's say we hammered out a contract in, I want to say July and August of 17. I showed up for the first time by the end of August at their shop. I drove down every Thursday night. I would come into the R&D office every Friday, and we would just R&D all day, every Friday, starting at the end of August. And we had a completed product, a display built, and we were on the showroom floor at the 2017 Orlando International Show with the product and with a patent pending status on the IP. So in less than 3 months, we R&D'd and brought the product to market and available to be purchased. But again, Great American's voice at that time, the culture, the business itself, it didn't really have the ability to full throat market the product. But the great thing about Great American Waterfall was the continuity and quality involved in the product. and everyone's view of that quality of the product. When it came to the Zero Edge, it just kind of tied two things together: innovation, the future driving for that, and also the quality and thoughtful nature of somebody who wants to do it right. And it was just a marriage made in heaven. It was kind of funny that, right before the Christmas party, Aaron asked me if I wanted to come on board and be COO and help him drive the business into the ground. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's drive it right into the ground. And so we've been working hard at that ever since for the last 7 years.
That's amazing that you did that, and had that knowledge and was able to, be like, oh, this could be done by anybody. So thank you for that. We have a job that's coming up where this is going to be implemented. And it's really cool because I remember the job that Justin and Randy had that was around the corner from us. We went and saw it, and you were there and you were showing them, helping them with the whole process. And I think that's another thing that, if I was some builder and some customer asked for this product, I wouldn't expect that level of just helpfulness. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, thanks. That's kind of the culture we want to try to bring, I mean, first of all, it's new. Okay. It's an innovative idea. We knew that when we brought it out, that it wasn't going to be, everyone was going to gobble it up, because it is so different than anyone else's approach to doing a Lautner Edge derivative that it was scary for a lot of people at first. And I think that the reason I started offering to show up and be there for your first install, the reason I started offering that was simply because I realized that once I showed up and I was there for that first time, you'd never need me back again. You just needed somebody there and I know there's a lot of folks think that, you're hand holding. No, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm allowing the expertise that I have to be there on ready standby. If they need it, if they want it, I'm right there. Ask the question, we'll figure it out,
And how involved are you through that process? Because obviously it's one thing to be on the site when they're actually doing it, but I think when we were at Tributary, you mentioned that you do Zoom meetings before and during the design process and all. Can you go into that a little bit, how your process is from the get-go?
Yeah. So, we all have a finite amount of time that we have in a day, right? Yeah. So I consume as much of mine as I can, giving to others. And it's kind of at my own detriment, to be perfectly honest. The way our system works for Zero Edge is not just anybody can install it. In order to order it, you need to call and you need to set up a Zoom meeting with either myself or Lee Russell, where we go through and pretty much explain the system, how it installs, so that now we know or can see the recognition in your eyes that you understand how it's installed, how it's prepared, and what you need to be prepared for when it comes to installing the product. And at that moment, now you can order the system. So the next project you get, you can literally send us the information that you have on the estimate you've done, say, this is the estimate I've made. Can you check my work? We send it back. Yep, this is good to go, with a quote. Now, on that first one, all we do is ask for expenses to travel there to the site so that we can, show up and not at a detriment to our own profitability, right? We're not asking for a daily wage. We're just asking for expenses. So we show up for a week. I usually fly in on a Sunday night. We start work on Monday, and then I fly home on Friday. And it's a great way to make new friends, drive some really good relationships deep, I speak un poco español también, so it's fun yo necesito más práctica, pero it's very fun to get out on these job sites and talk to these guys on these installs. But that's kind of the process we go through for Zero Edge.
So what a Zero Edge is, again, go back to just the description of those.
Sorry, Mike.
No. So if you get a plane of water, typically in a swimming pool, it's typically 5 inches down from the top because you got some coping and then you have tile. With what a Zero Edge is now the water plane is level with the top of the coping plane. And so there is no edge there. It is all one plane. And we can do this with a coping edge or a turf edge. Now, I do have a question that I came up. So when we do an edge that has deck around it, we always pitch the deck back towards the pool. So when people come in and do their cannonballs and everything like that, the water is not, going all over the place, all over the decks and everything like that. So usually 4 feet's the number that I use. So we're going to do a turf one here shortly, and our turf is typically set on road base. So my question was, how do we handle the water displacement in turf?
To me, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same problem to solve, just with more porous and potentially erosive material. If you can find a way to get a drain line, even with a 4-inch standpipe with perforated around it, where you've got the filter paper going around and
Right.
and the drain itself sets below the carpet. You know what I mean?
A French drain, yeah.
Yeah. Most of my engineering terms are.
So-
Reclamation is a very tough line to walk for me. I got to tell you, Mike, and it's simply because 50% of our industry is going to be okay with it, because we're builders who are trying to push innovation in the industry and realize that sometimes you got to break some eggs. But then the other 50% of our industry is service minded and driven, and there is absolutely no excuse to reclaim any water once it's hit the deck based on code in today's language, if that makes any sense.
Some actually call it water harvesting, because you actually, when it rains, you take the water from the deck and put it in the pool. Some parts of the country actually have you do that now for actually water conservation purposes. But yes, I know people that shudder at the idea that I'm going to have water go back into the pool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just curious on that.
Yeah, I think a quality French drain would do a great job at reclaiming everything on a turf edge for sure. And at that point, to be honest with you, you wouldn't need to necessarily slope it back towards the slot, because of the turf edge profile is got that right angle to it. So everything here could slope away to your drain, and then that could just go right back to your collection cistern.
Okay, so beautiful result with that. So when I tell people, when you have a vanishing edge, usually the vanishing edge is to frame a view. But with a perimeter overflow system, with your zero edge, that's not necessarily the case, that you're framing a view. Sometimes it's just all about the reflection that you're creating in the space and how that all works. And in fact, most of the time, I see most zero edges are surrounded by all kinds of things on all 4 sides. It can be in a standard backyard with a backyard fence and some landscaping, and it's a spectacular look, versus you put a vanishing edge there, that would look silly.
Agreed. Yeah.
So it seems like it works in much more from a design standpoint, and a lot of other with more frequency, you have the opportunity to use this detail. Now, another thing, which when I first met you, you talked about more than you do now, but for people getting their feet wet and an idea, this is a cool concept to use in a spa too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were giving us a hard time here in Texas about all of our perimeter overflow spas and people sitting on the edge of them and getting wet. And so with this concept, you can have a dry coping, but still have water all the way at the top. And so you get that look and the reflection and all the things that go with that. But, you still see the architecture of the structure instead of water, over the whole thing. So anyway,
Right.
It's a nice concept as well.
Yeah, I love the way exotic edges are truly filtering into almost every project that we see in today's design scope of our industry. I mean, I like the way you put it, that vanishing edge, is typically going to set up a frame of a view, right? It really kind of pulls the eye out to really focus on that view.
Correct.
Where, going into these perimeter overflows or the zero edges where your water level is flush with your deck surface and whatnot, you really get a lot of those reflections like you're talking about, where it almost makes your body of water feel like it's a part of everything above and beyond out behind it, because of that reflective surface that you've got, But I really think the way that exotic edges are moving into smaller pools, patio pools, creating elevation changes and depth and texture within spaces, it's in the past, without having a system like the zero edge system that Great American has, you would have to go in and truly do multiple phases twice in order to achieve a Lautner edge. And with the system now, we can develop multiple elevations within our pool systems that allow us to bring an exotic edge to the upper pool area, even if it's not an elevated spa, and then create a lower collection area that could now be the sun shelf space in the water project, but not taking up space in the depth of the pool, right? So we have so many more opportunities within pool design today. And I guess I'm kind of proud that I was able to bring a product or a system that allows designers to flex more muscle in a broader spectrum of projects, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, a system is so beneficial because once you learn a system, you can repeat it over and over again and have success and
Right.
be efficient in that process in doing it. And so that's the challenge with so many people is they go out and they're like, well, I'll figure this out. And a lot of times they do, but
Right.
there's a lot of effort and wasted, time and cash to make it all happen. So
Oh yeah.
it's, great that you've worked this out.
Hey, did I tell you where Zero Edge Guy came from?
No.
No.
Just FYI, I did not name myself that. Just like nobody and their grandmother wants to walk around with their own face on their t-shirts type thing. So please know that I did not spawn that. So all it was like, so in 2017, when we brought the product out, 2018 was when we went to all the shows, the Florida show, Southwest show, Southeast show, Atlantic City, all the shows, right? So we go to all the shows and then we go back the next year. We show up to the first show. Hey, you're that Zero Edge guy. Of course, we've got our marketing guy with us. And so it just stuck. So every show, someone, hey, you're that Zero Edge guy. Hey, you're that Zero Edge guy. That's when it happened. I mean, it wasn't until 2020 that before that even came to fruition. So
it's a good t-shirt.
It is.
yeah. Yeah.
No, we appreciate the information. So in this process, are there some things that we should be thinking about and homeowners should be thinking about that we haven't discussed?
Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot of experience in your market, meaning the Texas market. Never designed, built there, but having delved into this manufacturing side of what I've done the last 7 years, I have come to realize that you guys are a bunch of absolutely kept designers, meaning you don't know how good you've got it. You've got budgets that are just ridiculous, open palettes for incredible water shapes. You're so lucky with the available projects that you guys have out there. I mean, and the number of awesome designers you have in Texas is ridiculous too, by the way. But
there's a lot of people that do phenomenal work here.
Yes.
Yes. And I mean,
but here, when you ask me what I would add to this commentary, I think it's more so about the process. So whenever you're going to do an exotic edge pool, it's not just about the edge detail. It's also about the water and transit system. You also have to understand displacement, and you also have to understand collection, recirculation, filtration, all of those things. And I think that that's one tidbit of information that is not widely or widespread in the industry, meaning you may think that everyone can build any pool, but not everybody can build every pool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. So it's not just about the edge. It's a whole system that has to go together to make this all work.
Right. So my system is a system that's developed so that you can install a Lautner Edge derivative at the edge of the pool. It has nothing to do with the plumbing systems that are used to operate those particular projects. Those are dictated by designers who understand wind condition, debris condition, and how many gallons per minute per linear foot are going over that edge. That has nothing to do with my system.
100%.
Just to clarify.
Okay, perfect.
You're providing a tool to deal with one part of a huge problem that has to be solved.
The most ineffective cost-wise problem.
Yeah. So, but you need to address all those things in the process. Otherwise, you'll have failure. So, I mean,
Yes, sir.
That's the reality of hydraulics. Your hydraulics class, again, for those that, homeowners aren't going to take it, but you better make sure that the person you're working with understands how to do that and probably has taken some hydraulic classes to make it all work. And, for someone to show an individual how this all goes together on paper before they go try to build it in the backyard is well worth your time and understanding.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
No doubt. Yeah,
So-
no doubt.
Two things that, you may not have been done. Do you have some other things to think about?
No, that's okay. I'm good.
So,
I could talk with you for hours, Mike.
So with water features that you have, because they're custom, we can do different radiuses.
Oh, wow. So watch the light. If you get to watch this podcast, the video, watch the light enter his eyes when I tell him this. So you know how people have always cut those radiuses into the nozzles of shears?
I'm aware of, yes.
Yeah. All you have to do is send me a template. We can build the entire shear to the curve,
Right.
body and nozzle.
Yeah. So that's something I think a lot of people aren't aware of, that you have that capability to do. And I think that's I really like that.
Thank you for teeing that one up for me, Mr. Farr.
No problem, sir.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that when we talked about the wave, the one that arched up off the level surface, it comes in both a shear and a rain.
Yes. So the wave has the ability to put streams, which are just our SSR single row inserts that create our rain, so that when you operate the wave, the up arch of the ribbon that comes out of the wave is now individual streams
Yes.
Oh, okay.
that follow the same arc path. Yes, sir.
So it can come, you can manufacture it both ways.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Yeah. That was one thing I thought that was, because anyway, just wanted people to be aware of that detail, because I think that's cool that it's available both ways.
Yeah, we've got tons of products that are not really shown on the website that we have available to build, but it's really tough to kind of market them. For example, we've been doing 360-degree halo shears for, 5+ years, lighted shears for the last 2 years. So imagine you're doing this really cool design where you've got like a 20x40 pool going right out to a river, and you've got 15-foot sun shelves on left and right. And down that length, you've got these columns or cylinders of planters coming up out of the sun shelves, and these giant Washingtonian palms coming out, right? You can do an entire 360-degree halo shear, lighted RGB shear around each one of those planters, around each one of those trees, all the way down.
How wide can they get? Is there a certain distance, how big the column can be for the width?
How small can we get?
No, how big?
Well,
we can make it as big as you want.
big's easy.
Like-
How small can you go is the
Oh, okay.
trickier one.
Yeah, about 48 inches in diameter is
Yeah.
probably the smallest diameter we could probably do.
Okay.
That's still pretty tight, especially if you
Yeah.
put that palm tree into the middle of it. So anyway,
Exactly.
Squeeze it in there.
Yeah. There's tons of, what I really wish we had was an opportunity for makers like what we do, to really have good flush out conversations with high-end designers or just designers, period. Guys who got ideas, guys who want to talk about, how do we make this stuff? How do we do this stuff? Those are conversations that really drive me. And that's wish we could find a way to make those connections,
well, we appreciate the time that you've given us here, And will you be at the international show in Dallas?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I just remembered. That's the one in Dallas, and it's in November. Yes, I'm going. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't think we're showing at the show, but I am coming to walk for sure.
Okay. So if someone needs to get a hold of you, you'll be walking around there. They may be able to find you.
Yeah. You'll see me with the big giant picture of my own face on my t-shirt.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you then. If we don't see you before, actually, will you be on the tributary trip in
Yes.
Florida in the fall? Okay. Well,
I think Boston and Fort Lauderdale.
I will not be in Boston, but I will be in Fort Lauderdale. So anyway.
Cool. I think you're going to get to see a turf edge that Eric did down there.
Oh, awesome.
And so the Spout Pro is what we're calling the baffled cannon.
Yes.
Trey, you mentioned the cannon earlier.
Yep.
So, but the Spout Pro Plus is where we take the multiple cannons and put them on the same fixture. Where that's the one we developed for Eric. I think that's one of the pools that he's going to show is one that has 6 of those cannons in a row.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
I do have one question real quick because it just popped in my head. I'm sure y'all have done a lot of crazy jobs with the Zero Edge. Have y'all ever done a lazy river with it? Is that possible or no?
just speaking from having done lazy rivers, when you have a corner, the water will ride up on the corner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's no way in the world you'd keep water in the pool. It'd be going all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think it's a little bit more advantageous to have the coping or the tile there for a standard pool beam as almost like a bumper for the floats and stuff. Because imagine, you're just kind of relaxing, trying to sleep, and you're going down the lazy river, and then all of a sudden, the end of the tube gets caught on the edge of the pool because it just slid right over the zero edge, and now your ankles get smacked against the wall.
That'd be wild. Yeah, that makes sense.
Trey's creative. He tries to come up with all kinds of new things to do.
Well, I think about stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's the fun of the job is we get to create all these wonderful things. And
heck yeah,
don't
threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get back together and try some more bocce ball. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you back, old man.
We'll have some fun. So. Well, you have a great July, have a good 4th, and, hopefully, you continue to feel better, and we'll look forward to seeing you sometime later.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you. I mean, it was fun talking to you guys, and, Trey, Mike, you guys, I appreciate you very much, and, send my love to Kev, give him a big hug for me next time you see him.
Will do. 100%.
You guys, most success to you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Take care.
See you guys.
So what did you like best about Chris today in Great American Waterfalls, or was there something that you found interesting?
Well, I think it's interesting because compared to you and to Chris, I'm relatively very new to the industry. So I've been in it quite a bit, but so I thought zero edges were actually fairly new. And then when he called it the Lautner, it ringed a bell that I was like, oh wait, one of my friends growing up had one of these pools, and I think it's called a knife's edge also. So the concept that he was able to take his knowledge and make a template or process easier for a builder, and it's not just gonna be any builder. I know a lot of people will be scared away by this process because it is new, and it makes people nervous, but it's a spectacular product, or just the aspect of the illusion with the deck or the turf right next to the water is really cool. What about you?
So there were several things that I thought was interesting. The description that he used, which finally made sense to me. Why does water fall apart after a certain amount of distance? Mm-hmm. And he talked about a ribbon going through air and the air disturbing it and breaking it up. So that makes sense now to my mind, because I was always like, why does it fall apart after a certain distance? It didn't make sense. And to know that he uses 36 inches as a drop versus my 48 is probably a better situation from a conservative standpoint. That was really cool to think about, but then also just all the different aspects of how to create, these different features and the customization that they do. I mean, even from like, oh, you want a winterizing port for your shear rain coming out of the structure? Well, we can build one in for you.
Yeah.
Or, hey, here's how you're going to attach this to the framing. And so we can actually give you something with this, the feature. So I remember the first one that I did up in a structure, everybody was like, how in the world were you going to do it? And to the point that I had to be the one that went out there and said it because no one else was figuring out how to do this, and it worked. So I was lucky in doing it. But that was the first rainfall, which I installed in a parade of homes back in, I think it was 2002. So it was, in fact, it had brass nozzles for all the nozzles. So,
Oh, wow.
That's when they first made it. Now they just cut them into the plastic.
Yeah.
And it works fine. But no one was sure how this was all going to work. So anyway, interesting process. But the other thing that you mentioned is Chris is an absolute awesome resource. And
Yeah.
Lee, who wasn't here today, is a sales manager for Great American Waterfall as well. Is you basically get on a call with them and they do a Zoom call and explain how the whole product works. And then if you then use it, they have the capabilities to come out and help you do the installation. So, they're very passionate about trying to help people create, new cool things. So that's always a fun thing to see.
Yeah, I also like the we didn't touch on it much, but the halo he was talking about, the 360, that sounds really cool. And just the overall customization of all their product they can do, which is so nice for custom design, especially when you get into the more luxurious things, because it's one thing to design something, but it's another to actually build it. And having that,
100%.
yeah, it's having that resource when you're doing something different and trying to separate you from the rest is such a blessing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we're trying to bring to here on the podcast is a lot of times in a particular area, the person doesn't know of these resources. So you as a consumer, if you know, hey, you can go to this person and they'll help you out, create the thing that we're trying to do here. It can help the collaboration of all the people that are involved to create the best situation. So anyway, there's a lot of people in the industry that are very helpful in that aspect for me in the currently and hopefully in the future as well.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And if it's helpful, pass it on to your friends, let people know about it, and thank you for your time. I'll take care.
Have a good one.